So we're going to be working on the audit project. Just as I was pulling together the details to create this video for you, there was an article in the Wall Street Journal, Transforming the Audit in the Digital Age, and it talked about a number of things that we're actually going to be doing on the project. And it talks about the audit profession, I've put it in red here for you, has got to invest in digital tools. And how are they helping the audit? They're helping with evidence gathering, because this software is able to find things that are out of pattern much more quickly than a person could review data and find it. It also uses logic and it uses artificial intelligence to look at data sets and find things in there, and we're going to be doing that. It talks about predictive analytics. We'll be doing that with Benford's Law. I'll be showing you that. So it talks about allowing the auditors to dig deeper to identify exceptions. We're certainly going to do that as well. So this article was just a great validation of the tasks that you're going to be doing here and how the modern auditor will be expected to know how to do these tasks with this software or some similar software. So in order to work on this project, you need 3 files from Brightspace G2L. One of them is this audit program file in Excel, and there's 2 other Excel files. One is the transaction data, and the other one is the prohibited codes. So be sure you have all 3 of those files and put them in a folder named Audit Project or Idea Project or something like that in its own folder on your machine, so that when you're ready to work on this, it is already in a folder, because you'll be creating some new files that you'll want to put in this folder as well. So before you get started here, be sure you have that folder and those 3 files are downloaded into that folder, whatever you named it. I'm also presuming that you have loaded the Idea software. Your screen should look similar to this. You'll have some sample files over here to the left. You can right click and delete those if you like, or you can just leave them. They won't interfere. The Idea won't work on a Mac, so you will need to be able to have access to a PC to do this project. So this first tab overview in the audit program describes the purchasing card initiative, and that you're going to audit the first 4 months of the year to see if the employees using their card are using them according to the rules. And you can read about what the rules are here. What are the controls to be sure that we've given you a company credit card, basically, and then we want to be sure you're using that for only the intended purpose of the card and not for other activities that are not authorized. The goal is to write a report to the manager of internal audit on whether or not the controls surrounding the purchasing card appear to be working or not. And that the next tab is the audit program, and we're going to be doing these steps, and you'll be signing off on them as we go through them. The first step is to confirm that the data you have is the data from January through April. You're not trying to audit some different time period. In fact, they tell you that there should be 3,944 records during those 4 months. So if you have some different number of records, you have some other time period other than January through April. And that's pretty typical in these big data sets, is to be sure you have the right download. So there's quite a bit of time spent on making sure you are importing the correct data and that the fields are clean and you can use them. So the first thing that we're going to do is see whether or not we have this 3,944 number of records and that it's January through April only. All right, so what I'm going to do is I have my folder. It's called, I've named it my Idea Card Project, and I have 4 Excel files in here. And I'm going to take my transaction data file and I'm going to drop it into Explorer here. And I end up getting this. And sheet 1 has been automatically has a click here. If you have other sheets, you want to unclick it. We only want to import sheet 1 because that's the one that has our data. And we have to put first row is field name so that it knows that those are labels and not part of the data set. If you don't do that, you're going to get all kinds of errors. If you import and get errors, you can just right click on the file, delete it, and do it again. So not a problem. And then hit OK. So it tells us we have 3,990 records. That's the incorrect number of records, so we'll have to diagnose what's wrong with that. But I'm going to go ahead and import my other one, drop it into the library here. Okay, I just have one tab, so that's not a deal. Be sure to click on first row is the name, the label for the variable and not part of the data, and then hit OK. So now I have two different files I'm going to have to diagnose. Now notice that it opens the files here. You can click on the header here and go back and forth. When we are completing tasks, whatever file is open, it will do the task on that one. So I typically, as a practice, close the files. This is where the files are displayed. This is the library where they exist, and these are some other activities that you can complete on your data sets. I usually keep them closed until I'm ready to do something, and then I open the data set that I want to use so that I don't accidentally perform a task on the wrong data set. Okay, so let's see what the problem is. I'm going to double click on this one and open it up, and you can double click at the top of transaction date and it will sort it. Now it's starting in January, and then I can see immediately that I have some May transactions that I'm only supposed to be doing April through January through April. So I've got transactions in here that I can visually tell. And so what I want to do is remove those transactions. The way I'm going to do it is by clicking on the Analysis tab, and I'm going to go over here to Direct. And so this is, I'm going to extract the data that I want. I want to extract out just January through April and leave the May transactions out. So I'm going to click on this little calculator here, which is the instructions, and I want to get the transaction date. So when I do TR, it immediately pulls up the variables that start with TR, and I'm going to double click on transaction date because that reduces the possibility of a typo in the variable name. All right, and I want the transaction date to be less than May 1st. And so I'm going to put that in quotes. So a little bit of this is programming that you would need to know. I got to put the year first, so let me fix that. Year, month, day. All right, and then when you've given it instructions that I only want to see, I want to extract transactions that have a transaction date before the year 2010, the month 05, which is May 1st. I hit this, and that's going to go back here if it understands the instructions. So that green check mark is, let me see if I understand what you're saying. So if it says no, then you've got a typo of some sort. All right, and you can call it the name here, so we can call this January through April, leaving out May, of course, and then you can hit OK. So it creates a child database to the one you imported. So it left the one in here that you imported, but it created a new one, 3944. So that matches now this 3944 you were given. And we could also do some other check totals here. So for instance, the card number, that if I add up all the card numbers, which would be a nonsense number, but it is a total you can check against, and also the document amount. So I can go over here and I can do a field statistics, and that's okay. And I can compare them here. The net value of adding up all the card numbers matches that. Can you see that? And then the total document amount matches this 963,331. The number of records is correct. The minimum value being 11. So these are matching up pretty well. So I'm feeling confident enough that I have the right records that I can continue now with my task. All right. So this is going to be the file now that I'm going to work on, not this one. So be careful that when you get ready to do a task, you're using the correct file that you have now culled out. So we have now done this. So I've completed that audit step. So I've indicated that there was a problem, but that I fixed it because I've extracted the correct data sets. I've put my initials in. You won't put my initials in. You'll put your initials in that you completed that audit step. So extracted January through April. I matched the totals. All right. And so in the next video, we'll be going to audit program step number 3. We're going to verify the transactions are all from valid merchant codes.